my name is Mallory Latienzi. Happy Dyslexia Awareness Month. I am Houston ISD's Dyslexia Team Lead for Achieve 180 campuses and curriculum. And I'm so excited to be here with Houston ISD's administrators to learn more about their dyslexia experiences. And now we have the honor and privilege to have Houston ISD Superintendent, Mr. Millard House II. Welcome.
Thank you, Mallory. It's great to be here with you to talk dyslexia and Dyslexia Month. It's near and dear to me, and definitely looking forward to our conversation.
Well, thanks. This is a great way to celebrate Dyslexia Awareness Month. So we'll get right to it. So we'd like to get to know your dyslexia experiences a little bit more. So which teacher do you recall best supported your learning difference?
So, I would first say my mother. My mother was a 31-year vet teacher in public education, 16 years teaching first grade. And she was the one that identified early on that something was going on with her youngest. And so I would say between my mother and my third grade teacher. My third grade teacher was Miss Juanita Broussard. And Miss Broussard, I can just remember her being such a nourishing spirit. And a part of, building on a student's confidence with dyslexia is just that. It's making sure that the teacher provides an environment that's caring, that's understanding, that builds the confidence in that student to ensure that they understand that this is something that they can learn to manage over the course of time. So between my mom and Mrs. Broussard, they are the most memorable spirits to me in terms of my journey and differences in learning.
I'm so glad you had both of those women in your life. What would you tell your younger self now with all your experiences?
I would tell my younger self that the supports are around me, and that with the right support, from teachers, counselors, dyslexia specialists, those individuals that really have the keys to my reading success, that I can open up any door that I want to, from a career standpoint, from an educational standpoint, and to always keep the confidence necessary to continue thriving forward and getting better over the course of time.
That's great. What is one piece of advice you would tell other parents on how to navigate advocating for your student?
I think asking the right question and gathering the right resources. I think those two pieces are vitally important. Asking questions, not just to gather information, but asking questions to build your knowledge as well. Because a part of dyslexia and a part of teaching children to manage their learning difference is about doing it not only at school, but also having those support systems at home as well. So it is so important to not only have your child to build their capacity, but as a parent, build your capacity as well, and questions, the right questions, learning who to navigate those questions with in the district, at the school level, are definitely important pieces to the dyslexia puzzle.
Yes, it's not just supporting the student, but the families and our community as well.
Absolutely. I can remember, of course, I'm the youngest, and I had a older sister that's 5 years older than I am. And even though she wasn't a teacher per se, she was an exceptional student. But she was also an incredibly important part of my journey as well. When she was in high school, I was in middle school. When she was middle school, I was in elementary. But my mother was able to share information with even my older sister that helped me with my journey. So she sat down with me every evening, helped me, not only eat those green beans that I didn't like, but also helped me to, do some of the drills, do some of the things that I might not have done when I got home. So being able to share that wealth of support in the family is a very important strategy as we move forward.
Definitely takes a tribe.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and supporting everyone here at Houston ISD.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, Mallory.
Thank you so much. Today I have Ashley Judge, and I can't wait to get to know her better. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, good morning. I'm happy to be here. Happy Dyslexia Month, everybody.
Thank you. So Ashley, tell me, what is your greatest strength that aided to overcome your dyslexia?
I think my willingness to learn. If you want to learn and if you want to understand information, you have to be tenacious and passionate, and you continue to push through even though you have challenges. Although you may have challenges, there are supports in place, such as adults, as well as supplemental materials that can help students. So you have to keep pushing and get all of the help you need.
That's great. What are some ways dyslexia may impact adults as they navigate daily responsibilities?
That's a great question. So one of the things that I have created as a routine for myself is to double and triple check any numbers, especially in budgeting. So when you're going to the grocery store, when you're doing your monthly budget, even at the gas pump, which is something that happened to me recently, is to just make sure that you're paying attention to your numbers and any detail that you have with finances. Just make sure that you double and triple check to make sure that your information is correct.
What have you learned from being someone with dyslexia?
What I've learned, especially in my adult life, that dyslexia is not a barrier, but just a bump in the road that you have to overcome. I did not have an early diagnosis, but when I was diagnosed, I realized that it is important to make sure that you seek help from individuals that maybe have dyslexia that can give you tips, or other adults or people in the profession that can give you assistance to support you throughout your career and your educational career and personal career.
That is great advice. That's great advice for anyone. Thank you.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Welcome. So I'm here now with Wyndon Sanders. So thank you for being here with us.
And thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd love to get to know you better. So we'll start off with question number 1. What advice would you give your educators here at Houston ISD on how to support students with dyslexia?
I think the thing that impacted me the most is not all dyslexia is the same. Every student has an individual need, and we know that through individual education programs, but sometimes we forget in dyslexia that there are different types of dyslexia. It's not just the reversing of numbers. It's not just letters get bobbled or turned around. You could have a dyslexia like mine where the words just shake and shimmer and the page looks like it starts glowing, and then the words will cascade off the page. So remember that just like in any special programs, there are individual needs and individual assessments and areas that have to be addressed with each individual student.
Thank you. As an adult with dyslexia, what advice would you give another adult who has not yet been diagnosed with dyslexia?
The advice I would give is that you've probably learned compensation skills like I had. I hadn't gotten a master's degree and a bachelor's degree and being a choral director and having to play the piano and read the notes and read the words and teach the kids because I hadn't learned how to compensate. I had learned how to compensate very well. And adults have too, in most cases. So what I would say is don't let the disability define you or define the limits of what you think you can do, because it doesn't. You can do anything you want to do, especially if you get additional tools, which is what was provided to me. I'll never forget her. I will never forget to say thank you to her every time I see her, because I received additional tools to be able to help me be successful. And you know, I've never felt that my slow reading or that having to process things a little differently than other people would ever hurt me. And my parents never said, well, quit trying. No, it was always, you can do this. And so we did, and I did, and I overcame, and you can too.
Sounds like great parents, and I'm so glad that teacher and you got to cross paths and she provided those tools. So we have one more question. So what are some reactions when people find out that you are someone with dyslexia?
Usually it's, huh? What? You have it? It's always kind of a shock. It's like, but you're the fine arts director, or you're the principal of this school when I was at Meyerland, or you are the choir director at such and such. They really believe at times that, oh, well, you can't advance or you can't be successful if you have something different with you. And it's just so wrong. There are no limits to anybody, because we can prepare people for success, and nothing that we do as educators can limit a child except limits that we impose on them. And we don't. We provide them tools to go beyond whatever they think their limits might be. And we provide them that place to dream, to create, and to be beyond themselves by giving them the tools to work through their dyslexia or whatever other circumstance may be in their life.
That's great. So that support is definitely not going to hinder their success, but the support definitely helps them.
Absolutely. And I support the dyslexia programs 100%. When I was a principal or here in the Fine Arts Department, we look for ways to support our kids in whatever we're doing. And I just really appreciate what's being done and the awareness that's being provided by HISD.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. Thank you, Mrs. Geneva Harris-Hatton. So I'd like to get to know your dyslexia experiences with a few questions.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Who or what experiences led you to be an educator and impact those with dyslexia?
As a parent of a dyslexic student who is now in 11th grade, I had to find my way because I knew I had a son who needed some additional assistance. As an ELA teacher, an English language arts teacher, we had a language-rich environment home. He's the second of my children. The first child, we had that language-enriched home. She did fine. I noticed that even though I was reading to Jalen and providing Jalen with all that language enrichment through audible books and things that we could create in our home, he was just not acquiring language as fast. I noticed that at a very early age. I'm thankful that we live in the city of Houston because I was able to reach out to Texas Children for guidance and assistance, which they did provide for me. Back in the day, which was approximately only 9 years ago, having the vocabulary to be able to articulate dyslexia was not as widely available as it is now. So that's what led me. The work, the need for helping my child is what led me into the work.
That's so great. What advice would you give your educators here at Houston ISD on how to support students with dyslexia?
The number one thing I would say is early intervention. I diagnose it as early as possible, and I think we've started on that path with all the guidelines from TEA. The importance of catching it early. I realize now that my son at 2 and 3 was not as verbal as he should have been. We can diagnose things early now and actually come up with a plan so that we can implement it to help our kids. So early intervention, early identification are two of the most important things you can do for our students and our scholars here in HISD.
Very important. And how have your experiences with dyslexia helped parents who just found out that their son or daughter might have dyslexia?
The importance of having support and knowing that there are other people out there that can give you guidance. Support groups are excellent in providing it, and we have here in Houston a lot of those organizations that can provide guidance. So I say join in and become a part of some of the conferences that are available and out there, because usually in a conference environment there is a parental section that you can attend. Become knowledgeable of what dyslexia is, how to live with it, how to help and support your child so that they grow up to be these amazing human beings. Many of our innovators are dyslexic because they have to think outside the box on how to process information. And so you provide that guidance for your kid and your support, and they can do amazing things. So that's what I would say to parents. Find a support group. Get as much information as you possibly can to help your son or daughter.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences as a parent that's supporting your son with dyslexia.
Thank you.
What an honor and a privilege to be surrounded by those who can share their experiences with dyslexia and make a positive impact on our Houston ISD students. Thank you so much for listening. Happy Dyslexia Awareness Month, and have a great day.